Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of the SwitchCore podcast. I am Jeremy, joined as always by Charlie.
How's it going, dude?
Not too bad. How about you?
Doing all right, doing all right.
Good. And Drew.
Hey, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys once again, as I was beforehand. What's going on in video games?
Yeah, you haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention.
I mean, I've been paying attention to the stuff that interests me. Some of like the Square Enix stuff that we're going to get to here soon. Charlie's always freaking out right at the top of the show about something.
Yeah, I have you guys switched in the freaking thing.
Oh, good.
Oh, we're running a professional show here.
Well, this is going to happen eventually.
Yeah, the issues of trying to get, the video working with the audio, and it makes for great audio. Not a big deal. Charlie will sort it out as we're talking here.
I got it. Eventually.
So it's Thanksgiving week, which means, well, here in the States at least, people up in Canada, they don't know how to celebrate real Thanksgiving. October, I don't know what that's all about. Anyways, with that means a lot of video game sales. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to take a look at any of the like retailers and their Black Friday sales coming out, but there's a lot of good games for really good prices this year. Like really new games too.
Yeah, I've been pretty shocked at how cheap some of the games that I feel like just barely came out are going for.
I feel like Call of Duty World War II is already going to be like $35 on Black Friday. Not that I'm
Probably.
interested in that game, but I'm more interested in some of the these digital sales that are going to come out now that I've gone almost entirely away from physical. I don't have room in my life for physical other than this Blu-ray shelf that I'm staring at right now as we speak. Anyways, Drew, anything that you're planning on picking up for on sale on Black Friday?
I already pretty much picked up, I think, the only thing I'm going to, which was Horizon Zero Dawn on Best Buy's pre-Black Friday sale thing that they had going on.
Yeah, and that was like what, $20 or something?
Yeah, it was 16 with Gamers Club unlocked. So
Super
really
solid.
pretty great.
I wish I would have done that.
Yeah, it went, let's see, I missed the first round. It went completely out of stock, and I was kind of sad about it because I was like, man, I probably would have bought it. And then it went back on sale, and I was like, okay, I'll jump on it this time.
But you, Charlie, anything that you're interested in picking up for Black Friday?
Man, I don't know. I was considering a TV, but I just kind of decided against it. I've been more focused on my sister. My niece is getting a Switch, and so that was interesting. Apparently, every GameStop and Walmart in her area is completely sold out already.
Wow.
And Target. They're all sold out.
This gives some explanation to your like really weird, not weird message, but that hidden fact that you had made earlier in chat.
Yeah, I was like, weird. But yeah, so because my sister lives in Louisiana, everywhere's sold out, and the closest Best Buy is like an hour and a half away from her, which is like super weird. So she's like, I don't really want to go all the way to Best Buy, but I was looking at ordering some stuff for her, using my Gamers Club Unlocked stuff. But turns out their store is completely out of Mario Odyssey copies. They're also completely out of 1-2 Switch copies, which is kind of weird.
That's
And
really
she wanted
weird.
that. Yeah, I thought it was weird too. So basically, I paid for it and got it all ordered online, so it'll be shipped to them.
Yeah.
But they went to that Best Buy anyway, and turned out they had one Switch left, and they bought it.
Oh, nice. That's super lucky.
They got the red and blue Joy-Con one. Yeah, I was like, sweet.
Nice, and they got the good one.
Yeah, I know, right? Wait, what the hell just happened?
We lost Drew. There he is. He's back.
Okay.
Oh,
we need a solution for that. But yeah,
I think it's just my Discord at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a fresh install or something. I don't know.
But yeah, so I don't know. We had a really interesting setup there, I guess. Or I guess the interesting day trying to get all that stuff figured out. Weird that everywhere's still so sold out of everything, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we got it.
Because I mean, I was gonna say I was messaging with you earlier in the week about how in stock my store is.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm sure most of them probably are. And Best Buy, I guess Best Buy might be doing a really good job at it, but Toys R or everywhere else seems to be sold out. I don't know about Toys R Us, but She checked everywhere else. It's like,
I would be interested to know out of the major North American retailers which store is getting the largest allocation. If it's Amazon, I mean, I can't imagine that it's like a Target or a Toys R Us, but
I would assume it's GameStop, right?
I don't know because GameStop, I don't know, their foot traffic is a lot like smaller than these other stores, obviously because they specialize in
Yeah.
two categories, which is collectibles and video games.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine out of between the big three, Amazon, Walmart, and Best Buy, it's got to be one of those three.
Yeah.
I keep running into like Best Buy just having a lot more things in stock than other places now. Like it didn't used to be that way, but
Yeah.
for Switches, I'm seeing Switches go back in stock Best Buy before like anywhere else and on a more consistent basis. I feel like, I don't know, maybe Best Buy is just on top of it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Best Buy is like sponsoring, a couple of Nintendo YouTubers and stuff like that. So I mean, maybe Nintendo and Best Buy are starting to hit it off, and because I know Nintendo and Target have a really good relationship as well.
That's true.
So maybe that's what's going on, right? But I mean, like we talked about this friction. We talked about, based on just estimating, based on what your store numbers were, that like even if we were being really, really
Conservative.
well, no, I thought I was being like kind of like if your store had like half the number of units that other stores did, right? Which because you didn't have a small number by any means, but if you had half the number of other stores and the average was, double what you had, right? If we're just being crazy, it'd be like 600,000 units in the U.S. for Black Friday. I mean, to be fair, that's a huge amount of units for just Black Friday. Like, imagine,
and that's a huge and for one retailer.
Yeah, like imagine if, I mean, not even just one retailer. I mean, looking at the monthly or no the weekly sales that the Switch has been doing, like I think they've been capping out around like 120-ish or something like that. Normally they're like 60,000-ish units a week in Japan, and then they were going to like 120 some weeks. Could you imagine if in a week or just Black Friday and maybe the weekend after that, we had a week where the Switch sold 600,000 units?
Yeah,
That'd be
that's a lot.
Nuts.
Yeah, that's I mean that's a lot. Like, and we're only looking at it from like a North American perspective because obviously, if North America is getting 50% of Switch units, then that means everywhere else is getting also 50%. So I have a feeling that the Switch will ship. I don't know. What numbers do they give? Sold through or shipped? I think they give the shipped numbers, but I think the Switch probably shipped 2 million units in November. I think Nintendo shipped that many units in that 1 month. So we'll see. I don't know which number they normally give on NPDs. I'd have to look it up, but I think they shipped 2 million units in November.
Yeah.
Just based on what I've seen from other stores, other retailers, and I mean, I'm not a salesperson anymore. I haven't been for a very long time. I work more on the operations side. But I mean, occasionally you got to give a hand, and I've dealt with a lot of customers just in the last couple of days where they wanted Switches, so I had somebody buy one Switch and 2 Pro controllers. I'm like, what's it was funny because like I'm like, well, what is this for? Like, who are you getting this for? She's like, well, I've got 13-year-old triplets, two boys and a girl.
Weird.
I'm like, well, the boys are going to make the girl use the Joy-Con with the adapter, and they're all going to start fighting over who gets the good Pro controller. So just be prepared for that, Mom.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Nintendo's going to do really well. I think by the end of the month they'll have shit. I mean, what were we at? We were over 7 million units the last time we saw, right?
Yeah.
I think by the end of December, dude, we're going to be well over 10 million.
I mean, they have to be. If they said didn't they say something about like they're looking at potentially like the topping out at like 18 million units this year?
Well, we were looking at 14 million units within the
14?
first year, or by fiscal year's end, which is
that what it was? 14? Yeah. So I mean, even then, like, that would mean that the holiday season's over, and then they're going to ship 4 million units by March. What the hell are they going to do?
And I'm being super conservative with 10 million units, over 10 million units by the end of the year. I think it has the potential of being 11 or 12 million units.
Oh,
so,
I mean, I would assume it probably would have to be, because I don't see them moving a crap load of units in January.
Unless they've got something crazy planned for first quarter, which we've kind of talked about.
I mean, yeah, but
and we don't know.
I mean, for first
Melee
quarter,
HD.
yeah, but
what's that? What's that?
Melee HD.
Melee HD. That'd be kind of cool. Or GameCube Virtual Console. I don't know that GameCube Virtual Console by itself would, or Virtual Console in general would shift that many units. But what I think will get Nintendo a little bit of a boost, not a huge amount, after Christmas is people buying stuff with gift cards or money that they got for Christmas. At the very end of December, beginning of January, that might shift. I don't know. Let's just say another 500,000 units or something. So. Yeah. I have to think that there's some big February title coming, but we'll get into all that because we haven't even talked about what we've been playing yet.
Yeah, not at all.
So for me, it's not a whole lot. Mostly some Destiny still with my brothers. Hopped on a little bit of Rocket League with you last week, Charlie, after we did the show. And that was a lot of fun. And I think you probably agree with me. That game is Rocket League.
Yeah, it's Rocket League. I mean, you
had some thoughts about the screen, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say is, chat is really funny. The only thing I would say is, if you're like me and when you play Rocket League, you zoom way out. Like when I play Rocket League, I want to get as much of the screen as I can. So I have my camera in the settings all the way pulled back, all the way up, and like really snappy. And because I'm zoomed so far back and so far up, when you're playing in handheld mode, the ball is like this big. It's like a dime. It's so hard to follow it. It's not really like, it's not unplayable, right? But it certainly doesn't feel as good as playing it docked. So I would definitely say that that's a negative, right? I mean, it's the ball size is certainly smaller on PS4 when it's portable because it's non-existent. But because I've seen some people say, "Oh, it looks awful." It doesn't look awful. It's just, I would say it definitely does take a noticeable. I guess your enjoyment of the game mileage may vary portably for different people. I still like it portably, but I highly prefer it docked. But even then, it works great. I haven't had any sort of connection problems. I find it funny because, EA couldn't make multiplayer work, but Rocket League implemented their own multiplayer system. They implemented voice chat in the game. And they have replays that save to your Switch. Where was EA adding some, matchmaking? Like cross-platform play already works. Like, come on, a little indie.
Wasn't EA's excuse something like
it's Nintendo's fault? That was their excuse.
And it's Nintendo's fault, and we're focusing on like the local experience or whatever.
Yeah,
something dumb like that.
It was dumb, super dumb.
Yeah, I mean, every other console, like if you think about FIFA, it's got both experiences. You have an online experience and you have a local experience. The only reason that it's kind of elevated for the Switch is because of the portability of the system.
Oh yeah.
So you just got lazy with trying to implement multiplayer with the Switch. That's what that tells me. But
yeah.
But right now I have this super negative opinion of EA because of all the stuff that's going on, which we'll probably talk about a little bit more of EA today. We've beaten a dead horse with the EA stuff recently, but it still is going to be required for us to talk about it again today.
Yeah, definitely.
The only problem that I have with Rocket League, and by the way, I have not had a single disconnect since I purchased that game last week. So I'm super psyched that it seems like stuff is getting there with the Switch. I mean, this is probably more to the credit of Psyonix and what they've been able to do with that game over the last year and a half or so. But it's still exciting.
Yeah. So funny story about that, actually. When I played handheld, I played it in a little like Korean bakery / cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I run a Nintendo meetup group, and we went last weekend, and I pulled out Rocket League and played it for a bit. And the only issue I've ever had connection-wise was at home when I was docked, because my router kind of sucks. for wireless stuff. But in that little cafe, I played for like an hour. Not a single. I never even saw the little like connection issue problem.
That's awesome.
In a cafe. So like, it works great. The Switch's Wi-Fi is clearly good enough, right? I would say any issue you have with that stuff in Nintendo games is just because their online infrastructure probably isn't totally ironed out yet.
You know what's funny
Not a
is
hardware problem, but yeah.
Up until the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One S was released, Microsoft and Sony had not put AC antennas inside of their hardware, and Nintendo releases the Switch, and they might support AD, I don't know, but AC is definitely in there. So I don't know, just a little bit of tech talk. But no, the only problem that I have with Rocket League is not so much even with the size of the screen trying to play there, but the UI elements are really small. If you're trying to like navigate the menu, it's like that's really small. I wonder if there's a way for them to, and Charlie, you probably would know more about this than I would, for them to like dynamically change the scaling of their UI depending on whether it's docked or not. So
yeah, they can. Their UI is their UI is dynamically sized. It's basically like they could scale it with like no aliasing problems, and they could easily just change it like with no problems. It would be fine. So yeah, I mean they totally could do that. That's just one of those things that they'll eventually probably fix, because they did say they're going to continue to make the experience better on Switch.
Yeah, because I think right now there's an issue where if you are playing split screen online, you have to have 2 Nintendo Network accounts to play.
True.
I mean, they came out and made a statement.
No, okay. So what it does is it will ask you, and it will say, "Hey, do you want to use your account?" And then it will ask you like twice to put in your stuff. And if you just say no twice, then it will let you continue to play. I think the issue is they assumed that people would want to have their progress synced between accounts. Gotcha. So it's sort of it goes forward assuming that. So it seems like you can't. The one thing that you do have to do is you have to have 2 different. If you're not going to use 2 different accounts, you have to have 2 different users on that console.
Okay, I think that may be the issue, is that they want a guest account to be able to be formed.
Yeah, and they can do that, but there was a lot of people complaining, thinking that you had to have actual separate like Nintendo accounts, which would be really silly. Right. That's not the case, clearly.
Rocket League's good. It's always going to be good.
Yeah, it's a good game.
I'm interested to see if they release a new one of these in a couple years, what changes they make, or if they just design a whole bunch of new maps and new cars and release it as a new product. That's probably the way that they'll go.
Yeah.
But what have you guys been playing?
I mean, other than Rocket League, I started playing Battle Chef Brigade.
Ooh, what is that?
It came out on Switch yesterday. Yeah, it came out yesterday.
Isn't that the Adult Swim game?
Is it an Adult Swim game? I don't know.
Maybe. Let me check.
So, anyway, what it is, it's a weird game. You're this girl named Mina. It's got this game has a gorgeous art style. Really, really pretty anime art style, but it's done very, very well. And essentially you're like trying to get into this, what they call the brigade, the Battle Chef Brigade, or the Brigade. It's these people that basically save the world through cooking. It's weird. And it's sort of, the way you get in is essentially crazy anime Iron Chef. So whenever the main game loop is whenever you go and do a battle, like a cook-off battle, you have 5 minutes to gather your ingredients and to cook them. So you actually leave the stage, go out into the wilderness, and kill animals to collect ingredients. And so it's like you'll kill a dragon, kill a big boar, kill some plants, and you'll get different drops from it. And then when you bring those into the kitchen, you throw them into a pot. And when you throw them into the pot, you get different, like it's little 4x4 or sometimes 3x3 grids of gems from like Bejeweled, right? And so different ingredients have different gem layouts. And when you put them in the pot together, you basically are adding these different groups of gems together, and you can then go in and you stir your ingredients. And when you stir your ingredients, you can rotate a 2x2 grid of those ingredients. So you're basically rotating your gems around in the pot to try and make them line up. And when 3 gems line up, they combine into a level 2 or level 3 of that gem. So like 3 level 1s become a level 2, 3 level 2s become a level 3. And whenever you have all your stuff mixed up however you want it, you can basically pick up that pot and turn it in. Like turn it into the judge. And essentially what they'll look at is they'll look at like, well, if they really like water flavor in the dish, because they have like different elements, they like water, earth, or fire. It's like whichever one has the most of the high level gems in that dish, that's like the most powerful flavor. So if you have like 3 level 3 fire gems, they'll be like, oh, this is a really spicy dish. And so you'll be given like, oh, well, I like dragon meat and I like water, so you have to
meat.
Yeah, you can, seriously, you can go kill a dragon and get their meat, right? So you'll get like dragon ribs. I know what you're getting, and you're hilarious. But dragon meat, but no. So basically, you want to try and get like the right ingredients plus the right gem composition, and you have to collect it in 5 minutes and do it. It's super crazy. But there's also like a story, and there's all these different characters you meet. I had a blast with it. I played it for like 2 or 3 hours on Monday, so I guess yesterday. And I'm going to continue streaming it. So the next time I stream, I'll be playing that as well.
I'm gonna have to like check you out playing that, because
it's hard to explain.
Yeah, but it sounds like a game that I'd be interested in.
Yeah,
it's puzzle games are kind of my thing.
Okay, yeah. So it's really cool. Yeah, it's basically 2D platforming action combat plus puzzle game plus really good story. Everything about it is 10 out of 10 fantastic, except for the audio quality on the voice acting specifically. The music is great, sounds good. The acting in the game is really good. The actual acting is good. But whatever mic they were using was basically a tin can with a string on it, because it sounds really bad.
That's what I like to see. Like,
the whole game is so well put together, and then you hear the audio and you're like, what the hell happened?
I love game development on a shoestring budget, man.
I mean, it's an indie game.
You don't care about audio quality anyway, Jeremy. So this works
out. Listen, Drew. We're gonna talk about audio quality. We'll talk to Ryan, and we'll see who's where and what and how and why.
Call outs.
Everybody sounds fine.
I would say if you like puzzle games, definitely give it a shot. And if you're on puzzle games, look into it. I think it's a really good game. Fantastic game.
That mostly what you've been playing?
Yeah, I mean that's the only 2 things that I've really. But that and Mario Odyssey on and off, just because I want to beat scores. But that's
I need to hop back into that still. What about you, Drew? What you been up to? Oh wait, hold on, time out. I might rescind my question. Didn't a very specific game come out recently?
It did.
All right, go ahead.
You're. Yeah, I've been playing Pokemon Ultra Moon, and that is it. And I've been enjoying it. I will say, now that I have like a very clear opinion, if you've played Sun or Moon, the first 3 islands of the game are gonna be a grind if you're looking for something new or different, because they're basically the exact same with some little additions. After that, you start getting into like some newer stuff. Again, I haven't beaten it yet, so I still am not sure completely, but without spoiling anything, and I'm not sure if anyone in here cares, the story makes more sense in this. There's actually a lot of like fan theories that were about Sun and Moon that I remember you talking about specifically, Charlie, that are confirmed in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Like they actually talk about it.
Interesting.
And so it does make more sense. They flesh out the story more, and it is just a generally better game. I kind of wish that this would have been Sun and Moon. Yeah. And then they might have done a sequel after that. But again, like for what it's worth, the main team already moved on to Switch, and this is just like a side team of new developers. They've done a pretty good job.
So are you finding value in it? Like, would you have preferred for? I think I know the answer to this question. It's probably no, but would you have preferred to wait for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon had you known that was coming out when Sun and Moon were coming out?
Me being me, I don't think I could have waited. Um, just because I don't know. It would have been hard for me to see people playing Sun and Moon, and not play that game, even if I knew there was like a better version coming out in the future. I would have said, screw it. I'll pay, the $40 and get the lesser version now and play the other one later. But that's just me. I like to waste my time,
Does this feel more like, excuse me, does this feel more like a yellow to red and blue, or does this feel like something a little bit different?
Oh, it's definitely more. Like it's probably the third version that has gotten the most like care and attention to it than any other. Like when you look at the comparisons between red, blue, and yellow, like the only real difference in yellow is that you get a Pikachu at the start, and then you are able to get the other starters in the wild easier, or yeah, just throughout the game. And then you look at something like Platinum, where it's like, okay, we changed up the story and we added a Battle Frontier. That's pretty good. But Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they're like, okay, here's some new Pokemon. Here's like a crap load of stuff for you to do. Here's like some mini games and like a battle facility. It may not be a Battle Frontier, but I'll, whatever. And yeah, it's a good third version, but I think third versions are losing their charm on people, especially since we already had Black and White 2 be a sequel. I think that Game Freak is probably going to recognize from the feedback that a third version might not be in the best interest next time.
Do you think so? We're eventually going to get a Switch Pokemon, like proper Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's the point where we get? I feel like I'm interviewing you, like you're the Pokemon expert, and I've consulted you on all of my questions about Pokemon. But do you think with the Switch, maybe for the first time ever, when they release a new generation of Pokemon games, that we finally get a single version of Pokemon, given that it's going to be a home console, given that it's also a handheld, but maybe just try to get everybody. I mean, if they sell 12 million Pokemon games over two versions, how many people that own 3DSs right now are buying both versions? Or do you think that it's, one person's buying one game, another person's buying the other version, and that the Switch would still be able to, sell that many units? I'm having a hard time trying to eloquently state what I'm trying to say.
I think I understand. And that's a really interesting question. And Game Freak has sort of talked about that too, because they said they have to approach Pokemon Switch in a different way because it's a home console as well as like a portable. And so while selling two versions, like, kind of has some benefits because it encourages let's say for people who don't buy both versions, it encourages people to trade and interact with their friends. Like, I have Ultra Moon and my wife has Ultra Sun, so we like do trading back and forth for Pokemon that we can't get or to evolve things. Whereas if they were to do one definitive version, it might take away from that more, like the interaction, and that's something that Game Freak really likes. Whether or not it boosts their sales, like that's kind of been why they made multiple versions from the start, is so people would feel the need to interact and go play with their friends and whatnot. One thing that they could potentially do is make one single version, but at the beginning have some choices that you make, like something like a personality quiz or something, and depending on what you choose, that might influence what is happening in the game. So, different Pokemon show up or different choices lead you to do whatever. And so
I really like that idea. I like the idea of I really like the idea. Exactly. I really like the idea of a choice-driven Pokemon game, and maybe not like just out of nowhere it just decides on like, oh, maybe these Pokemon will be in this if you choose choice A, but maybe choosing choice A versus choice B sends you down a different path. And that path, obviously, you're heading in a different region or a different area that you're not going to go on if you choose the other option, or if, by not choosing the other option. But obviously, when you go down a different path, there are going to be different Pokemon down Route 2 than Route 4. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Man, that would be so cool. And then, like, playing through it multiple times, it's kind of like, you look at these Telltale games. Those games are completely driven on choice. But then you're adding the element of, like, I'm capturing Pokemon the way that I've always done. Or the different way to look at these games, since they're not going to be handheld games, is, Pokemon's already got their own currency. They could just add microtransactions. Given that it's a console game. Have we ever seen microtransactions in a handheld? I don't think we have. Obviously, we've seen them in mobile.
Yeah, we have.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like, what games have we seen them in?
Heck, that Pokemon puzzle, Pokemon
Oh,
puzzle, whatever.
yeah, but that game was free though. That was a free 3DS
But it is
game.
still a microtransaction.
You're right. You're not. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah,
But I don't count free to play games.
Okay, but then qualify your question, sir.
I'm technically right. Okay.
I don't know though. However, what else that kind of leads into one of our big topics, which is that big Pokemon rumor that happened. So one of the guys that he's at Easy Allies, which is another it's a big group on YouTube made up of guys from the old Game Trailers website from back in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. One of those guys, Michael Damiani, actually he has a bunch of different sources. He's been right about stuff in the past, and he came out and said that he's heard from one of his close friends that apparently is in the know on the whole thing, that basically, long story short, they being Game Freak, were really unsure about maybe making big changes to Pokemon when they brought it to Switch, because it's doing super well, so why would you change that, right? But then Breath of the Wild came out and did super well, and then apparently the really warm reception to Mario Odyssey and how weird it was at E3 pretty much completely changed their minds. And they're looking at making changes to the series. I mean, obviously we don't know what those mean, right? I mean, you could make it crazy, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything insane. Like, I don't think they're going to make I don't think it's going to be a turn-based strategy game now, right? Like, I don't think it's going to go that far.
Yeah.
The battle system will probably stay pretty similar, right? But like the visual style of the game will probably change. I would say, like Riff was saying, or like Drew was saying a second ago, linearity might, go by the wayside, right? Be able to go around, like, it's like, okay, you know what? I just want to go to, gym 4 first.
Yeah.
Or I want to go to the grass gym right now. Screw going to the fire gym. Why? I can get on a train and go wherever I want. Like, who knows what they're going to do. But
yeah, I mean, they could have that game, the enemies dynamically scale. I would imagine dynamically scale with you and your party. And have that make sense, so you can go anywhere you want. But I don't know. I think, the Pokemon formula. I mean, it's a formula, right? They haven't really changed much They haven't really changed much in the last 25 years. Is that how long it's been? 20 years?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I'm curious about is, like, so I know people have different opinions on this, right? But so story is something that Pokemon has, but isn't exactly the main draw for a lot of people. Like, I don't think people look at Pokemon and go, Pokemon is known for fantastic storytelling. It's like, no, it's known for having cool characters and characters that have interesting backstory, but not really having an epic story, right? Like the anime might be a little different, but like maybe they just say, hey, let's back up a little more on the story bits, right? Because if you make the game super linear, it's really easy to tell a story. As soon as you start trying to make it like really disjointed and allowing people to go all over the place, they can basically dial back a lot on the story and just say, okay, hey, we're gonna do kind of what a lot of these games are doing now. Instead of trying to tell a deep linear story, we basically put characters in the world that are interesting characters with cool backstories, which they kind of already do. And the benefit of that is that it could allow them to spend a lot less time developing those stories and spend more time balancing their game and getting more interesting, cool mechanics and making more Pokemon, and making sure the linearity works out. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, like we've driven this point home so many times, and so have so many other people. Like Breath of the Wild, Pokemon style game, maybe not like completely like that, but in terms of story, what Breath of the Wild did was the story progressed depending on which area you went to and what you did. And so let's say in a Pokemon game, the story just isn't because Sun and Moon, extremely linear story. Like, you progress, the story progresses, you beat trials and the story goes wherever. Let's say you just go throughout the region and there's like this evil team in one area and you defeat them in that area, and then they go somewhere else and you defeat them in that area, and then you're done with like that evil team. But in another part of the region, there's another struggle, and ultimately in the end, all of these things end up tying together through these little hints that you get into like this one epic big final fight at the end of the game.
If they can, I don't know, like everything can converge, right? Having these little story beats, kind of like, I think this is kind of what you're getting at, Drew, is have these story beats that at the end, like, there's hints that were dropped, and then everything at the end just kind of converges into this like finale, basically. And like Parallel Shadow here in chat says, I would love a more open Pokemon game, change the standard formula. They've had the rail cart you through a specific path and story and let the player make their own journey. We all just kind of want to make our own journey.
Yeah, exactly.
And we say it a lot, but like, let's Breath of the Wild this game somehow.
Yeah, except with less crappy story and maybe a little more interesting. but no, I mean the thing about it, I think, is like I'm a weird one to have this Pokemon conversation, because my first Pokemon game is Pokemon Sun and Moon. I mean, I've always liked Pokemon, but my first video game for some unknown reason is Pokemon Sun and Moon. And like I like it a lot. I really enjoyed that game, but in my opinion, the weakest part of that game, I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but the weakest part was the story. I just didn't care. Like, that's not why I was playing the game. The whole point for me playing that game was I wanted to explore, I wanted to catch Pokemon, I wanted to fight dudes, and I wanted to build up my team, right? And like, as far as I know, that's what most people play the game for. Like, I know the story's cool, but like, I think most people, and maybe I'm just assuming what I want, right, is I feel like most people would be okay with like the linear story being pulled back if that means you get more explanation, varying routes in which you get different Pokemon at different times in the game. Like what if the only way to catch certain Pokemon were to like catch them at certain points in the game, like certain rare Pokemon? So it would kind of be like, okay, well, if you want to really build up your team, then you could play the game multiple times, or trade with somebody who went down a different route at a different time. Like, that could be interesting. I mean, there might be some negatives to that too, but
certain Pokemon being restricted, or an area that doesn't open up until like you hit a certain story point, like whatever. But there could be good Pokemon in there that you want for your team that could help you later on in different places. So you'd feel enticed to finish that story point, so that the evil team would blow up the entrance to the cave or whatever that you want to go into.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like that could be super interesting. And if you make a world like that, I think it'd be cool too to see like, the Pokemon being used more in the world outside of fighting. Like, for example, one of my favorite little weird moments in Pokemon Sun and Moon was when there's like this grieving woman in front of her tombstone because her husband died in a car crash, and his favorite Pokemon, which was a Machamp, was literally holding her in his arms while she's like sitting there like crying in front of her gravestone, telling you like the story of her husband's death. And I was like, this is really interesting. Like, this Pokemon actually has a connection to the character. He's like not being used to fight, he's just being used to like kind of console her and be her friend. Like, that could be super interesting in like a Breath of the Wild style open world, right? Where you have characters walking around, interacting, using their Pokemon in ways that are not fighting. I feel like that could add like a really interesting layer to Pokemon that we don't really get from something like a 3D or like a 3DS game.
And I think with the way that their games have been designed for the last few
We lost
years,
Swift. There he's back. Okay.
um, we're gonna ignore the fact when he leaves because he'll probably be back within seconds.
Yeah,
But
he's back now.
I feel like the way that the Pokemon games have been designed since day one in game one lends itself to being able to do that really well. You know, Scott brings up a funny point. He thinks a lot of what we're talking about sounds like a Pokemon Warriors game, which is probably not out of the realm of possibility given what that team has been working on with Nintendo and like working closely with Nintendo for the last few years. But we're not suggesting, I don't think anybody's suggesting that they should get rid of the turn-based rock, paper, scissors system that they have.
Yeah, I think he was actually responding to somebody else in chat, not what we were saying.
That's fine. I still wanted to bring it up because he graced us with his presence instead of making it here into the show. But that's fine.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you? So one of Creed's favorite points of Sun and Moon, there is actually a lot more stuff like that in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Little side quests, little moments like that. That it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like you get to see a different side of the story, and I'm excited to see them doing more of those things because it gets me thinking like, man, how would this work in like an open world? Because you could tell these stories that are really interesting, like that people would really like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be linear, connected, like crazy, you know.
I mean, yeah, it's like my favorite part of Breath of the Wild was the Terrytown side quest. Just this random thing that has nothing to do with anything, but it had the most memorable stuff to me. And you throw stuff like that in with Pokemon, I don't know. That thought really excites me. So I hope this rumor is real. I want to believe him. I mean, I do believe him, but it's interesting.
I'm excited, man. Like, I was excited when Sun and Moon came out because I always think that I'm more excited about a Pokemon game than I am. But I played that game for about 10 to 15 hours and definitely wasn't enough time to get through it, and I fell off. I think with a console game, number one, and for them changing up the formula, I'm boring Charlie.
No, I'm just tired. It's fine.
That would get me back into actually completing one of those games because I haven't completed a Pokemon game since Silver when it launched, so back in what, 2000 2001. So
heathen.
I'm a heathen. It's been a good 16 years or so since I've really gotten into a Pokemon game the way that I want to get into a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
So that's it, Drew, huh? That's all you've been playing, some Pokemon stuff?
That's it.
Can't say I blame you there, knowing you. Let's talk about a little bit of news, guys.
Yeah, I guess before we go into that, I wanted to mention really quick, this is sort of kind of news, but I think, you know, we had talked about it a little bit. We have the Game Awards coming up, right? We have PSX coming up, really close together. You know, I think we're gonna try and do a big live viewing of that. Are you guys both gonna be available?
Should be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna do it. I don't care what you guys do. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's all work schedule stuff, but
yeah,
I'm normally out by 3, so if I have to have a late night, that's not, you know, against the norm. So I'm probably definitely down for that.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to make everybody aware, you know, that we're going to be doing something like that. You know, sort of live reaction / hangout while we all either get super excited about what Jeff Keighley has to say or make fun of his Dorito Pope crap like always.
Yeah. So that'll be December 7th, guys. Eastern time. Probably we'll start at around 8:00. Would be my best estimate, but check Facebook and Twitter for updates on that as the time gets nearer.
Yeah. And with the Game Awards too, I will say, you know, I think we talked about this last time a little bit. I know we talked about the Game Awards stuff last time, but Jeff Keighley tweeted out again today, quote, "This is going to be quite the showing, people," and then a gif of a mind-blowing alert.
I'm excited. The fact that he's excited, like I said, I have no problem really with Jeff Keighley. Other than
me either. I just like making fun of him because it's easy.
Well, I like making fun of him for the industry icon thing. You guys know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think he's a cool guy. I want to be like Jeff Keighley.
I think his heart's in the right place.
Absolutely, a guy's just a fan of video games. He's not just one of those. He obviously puts a lot of time and effort into these awards shows, and I don't think anybody can debate that. So.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah.
So. I don't know who's most equipped to talk about this, but what is going on with Square Enix? We're expecting more Switch support. Am I understanding this correctly? Potentially.
Yeah, sorta. So basically, long story short, they are kind of doing a combo of saying that yeah, we're it's doing really well. We really want to support it a whole bunch, but our main thing is, I guess, taking old IP. This is where it gets interesting. They said they want to take old IPs and bring them back, like reinvigorate them specifically for Switch, and existing IPs, and maybe make new games that are kind of tailored for Switch, right? So they've hinted a lot. They also said that there's they have big news coming in between March of next year and March of next year and E3 of next year. So they're saying that, so probably E3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're basically saying that there's a bunch of big info that's going to come from them, Switch related, that everyone should be really excited for, and they really want to bring back some of their old IPs, and that gets people thinking like, well, what when you think Nintendo, when you think old IP, and you think Square, what comes to your mind? And there's kind of two big things. Well, maybe two and a half. Well, there's one that I would say would work very well. For me, it would be number one, the Chrono series.
Mm-hmm.
Give me another Chrono Trigger. I highly doubt it, but I know the guy that made it has said recently he really wanted to make another one, so that'd be super cool. You have Mario RPG, which would be oh my god, could you? Oh, dude, Mario RPG is done. Game of the year is done.
It doesn't even matter if it's actually bad.
It doesn't matter. It could literally just be an image that plays on your screen for 60 hours that says Mario RPG 2, and I would love it. It'd be great. It'd be the greatest.
We get Mario RPG games all the time. Have you not played Sticker Star? Have you not played Color Splash?
Those aren't RPGs, man. But no,
they're RPGs.
Not according to Nintendo, actually.
Well, Nintendo doesn't know what a game genre is.
Well, no one knows what a game genre is. That's why they're problematic.
Mario Odyssey is a action adventure game.
Yeah, just like Grand Theft Auto. So whatever.
Right.
And then the third one that I guess doesn't necessarily immediately jump out, but would make a lot of sense because they said they want to bring back old IPs. I think a Final Fantasy Tactics game would be freaking awesome on the Switch. Final Fantasy Tactics is by far my favorite game with the words Final Fantasy in it. It'd be great. Oh man, I love that.
Know what is probably I don't disagree with you, but you know what would probably be more likely?
What's that?
For them to bring back Crystal Chronicles. Because they had a couple games there between the GameCube and the Wii. The game didn't really get traction. If you think about the GameCube sold what? 20? Well, that's the thing. So if you look at the GameCube sold 21 or so million units. Relatively small install base.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't geared towards the hardcore Final Fantasy fan the way that the Xbox One, like Final Fantasy 15, PS4 games are. They use chibi characters, and it kind of reminds me more of that mobile Final Fantasy 15 game that they're making.
Yeah.
Now that gaming is into more hands and stuff like that, and the Switch is kind of geared more towards actually, we can't say the Switch is geared towards a younger audience anymore. We can't say that Nintendo is geared towards a younger audience anymore.
Not allowed to. Statistically, you would be
I'd be very wrong. Absolutely. But I feel like people are becoming more and more okay with that. If you look at a lot of the games that have come out recently, chibi characters are just different style anime characters, and anime is a lot bigger than it used to be. Video games is a lot bigger than it used to be. I mean, what I will say about the version that came out on Switch, I believe it was a WiiWare game, on the Wii. It was a WiiWare game, unless I'm mistaken.
I think you're right.
But if you look at the Wii, it sold 100 million units. But how many hardcore gamers picked up a Wii? How many people that would be interested in a Final Fantasy game picked up a Wii?
I think everybody probably picked up a Wii, but that's not really relevant.
And that's what I mean. The Wii sold so many units to so many different groups of people. doesn't necessarily mean that it's sold to a great number of potential people that would be interested in a Final Fantasy game. I think Crystal Chronicles, I think they might revive that series, honestly.
I mean, they could. But you know what I think is the most likely thing to happen? Kingdom Hearts 3 coming this way.
Oh. Oh, I just made a weird face and I'm doing weird motions with my arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's my hot take, dude. I've been wanting to talk about it because I keep bringing it up in our Discord and people are like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "No, I disagree. This is happening. Damn it."
Listen,
I don't even like Kingdom Hearts, and I want it to happen.
I'm not a fan of peanut butter, but peanut butter and jelly, it's kind of like Nintendo and Disney. Am I right? No, that's not. That's probably not.
I think I know where you're coming from with that. But it's kind of a weird way of saying it. No, and let me clarify. It's not that it's not that I like hate Kingdom Hearts. It's that I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2 when they came out. So going back and playing them, they didn't age super well. Like they're just kind of some eh. But the idea behind it I think is really good. And I think that art style, like Disney art style and like sort of Disney stylized-esque Square Enix stuff. I feel like those things hater. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. No, more like Kingdom Farts. Am I right? Yeah. Oh man, that's great. No, I think that art style and gameplay style just resonates really well with Nintendo fans. I mean, it was weird because we had some people in our chat that were talking about. They're like, "Oh well, Kingdom Hearts wouldn't sell well on Switch." I'm like, "Are you ridiculous? Like, it would sell fantastically on the Switch." I think, at least to me, the reason I think it will happen because number one, the game's taking freaking forever to come out, just like they always do, right? Same thing with Final Fantasy 15. They've spent way too much money making this game, and if you look at sales numbers on previous games, there's no way it's going to make the money back on just PS4. It's not going to happen. And they already said with Final Fantasy 15, they openly have stated they're trying to do whatever they can to make money on that game to pay for its development. So they have to find a way to make money. Bring it, and they openly said today in that same article that I have up right now, that their games do not sell well on Steam. They get drowned, and indie developers started saying that indie games are getting drowned on Steam. I mean, they sell, but not as well as they probably should. And then, the game runs in Unreal 4. So like, it's like, hey, we really need to get this thing to sell. We've got a game that has the right art style. It's in it's in an engine that's pretty easy to port, and even if it's not, even if it doesn't look anywhere near as good as the other console versions, right? It being portable is a huge selling point to a lot of people. You're going to hit people that weren't going to buy it anyway. So you put all that together, and it seems to me like it's an easy solution. And the other thing, the guy who made the game has said that it's something he's really interested in doing. It's just that they're looking at the release window right now. They're like, we just want to get this thing out on PS4, and then beyond that, that's something we're looking into. We're looking at what platforms we can put it on. So
yeah, and I mean, really, Unreal Engine 4, I know plenty of Kingdom Hearts fans that are zealous enough that they would want to buy the game to play it portably as well. So they'd get even more sales right there.
Yeah. I mean, there's also Kingdom Hearts fans, people that are huge Kingdom Hearts fans that don't own a PS4. There's like this weird thing that like, oh, if you played Kingdom Hearts on PS2, then clearly you have a PS4. Like, no, that's not true. There's nothing about that that's true.
There's also those Kingdom Hearts fans that are like, why can't they just release Kingdom Hearts 3 on PS2?
Mm-hmm. Right. Dude, if we don't get a Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Switch, what we will probably get instead is a sequel to Chain of Memories. More card battling.
Woohoo! Everyone's favorite. Holy crap.
Dude, Chain of Memories was good. Don't you talk down about that.
No,
game.
That's fine, but it's not what people want, right? Like the thing is, like I went back and I looked at Kingdom Hearts, and it was like Kingdom Hearts 1 sold 6 million units. Kingdom Hearts 2 sold like 4.5 million units. So the sales went down, even when it was on like the best platform for it or whatever. I don't unless they sell like a huge number of copies of that game. I don't think it's ever going to make its money back.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, Kingdom
The
Hearts
game's
3.
been developed. The game's been in development for like 37 years.
Yeah, like they have to put it on every platform, and I just think not putting on Switch would just be like, oh, we don't like money. Like,
and we've talked about it before. Although the Switch, compared to the other two major consoles, has a smaller install base than the other two. Granted, it's only been out for like 8 months. I feel like games attach themselves to Switches faster than the other two platforms. I haven't seen the numbers to back that up, so I'm completely blowing smoke out of my ass right now. The way that you've seen me blowing smoke out of my mouth on stream, I'm really sorry about that. I have a bad habit. However, I feel like people are hungry for games on Switch. Nintendo fans for a long time have been starved for video games. Mm-hmm. So if you give a big AAA third-party title that we're not used to seeing on a Nintendo platform, like Kingdom Hearts 3, like maybe Final Fantasy 15 at some point, I'm not going to hold my breath for that one. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 lends itself more to the Switch platform than probably any other Square IP.
At least of the big ones right now that they're currently working on, yeah.
Right, the ones that we know of that are currently in development. So
no, I mean, I agree. That's why I think it's a thing. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those. Nintendo needs Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty or it's doomed. Yeah, dude, totally. Or it needs Doom or it's doomed. Oh wait, it already has that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I've seen stuff in chat where I don't think casual gamer would play Kingdom Hearts. Are you crazy? I disagree. I think that's something that'd be awesome. Like, I know, dude. Okay, this is how easy it is. All you have to do is just say, "Oh, it's portable and you can play with Woody." Done. Sold to like every kid.
Yeah, and every adult who's been growing up with the Kingdom Hearts franchise since the early 2000s.
Like, for example, you know, Pumpkin or Susan, as she's known to some people, like my girlfriend, she loves Kingdom Hearts, but we don't own a PS4. She wants to play it, but it's like, what are we gonna do? Buy a PS4 for one game? No.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not worth it.
I did, and
of course you did, but that's because you're you, right? You have a problem. We can tell you're addicted to it on stream. I'm just kidding. But no, it's one of those, like, why would, like, the assumption that everybody just owns a PS4 because they like Kingdom Hearts is silly, or the idea that like no one's ever, that's like saying, oh well, people, why would somebody buy Doom or Skyrim on the Switch when they've already played it or could play it on a better platform? Mm-hmm. They're buying it. Clearly, it's selling. I think Doom is probably far less interesting on the Switch than Kingdom Hearts is, in my opinion. If you're a little kid, you know, you're 10 and you're looking at video games, and you know, let's say you're a girl who isn't super into violence, like, why would you look at Doom? Doom has itself like a probably smaller niche than Disney. Like, it just sounds weird to me. I think any game is welcome on the Switch at this point.
Yeah,
as long as it's a quality game.
So I think Parallel Shadow in chat brings up a pretty good point, and this might not be exactly what you were getting at, but I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit. Is if you look at where Kingdom Hearts has historically been, it's been on PlayStation, PS2. They've had re-releases on PS3, PS4, Xbox One, but that game started on the PS2. That's where its fan base comes from, right? Mm-hmm. So would it make sense for Square to maybe get Nintendo fans acclimated with it before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out to release, I don't know, like the 2.8 or 1.5 and 2.5 remake that they have on PS4 already on Switch?
Totally. I mean, and that's part of this article that I have here, right? They specifically talk about rebooting past titles for the platform, or like rebooting past titles, porting stuff, creating new IP as well. Like, I think that's all wrapped up in it, right? Like, if that's something they want to do, then maybe they find a way to bring those titles. But I mean, because they even specifically said that they want to put Kingdom Hearts on other platforms, right? They said maybe Switch, we're not sure. It's something we'd like to do, but if you're going to have that same problem, if they're going to put Kingdom Hearts on PC, they're going to have to acclimate those people. If they're going to put Kingdom Hearts on Xbox, they're going to have to acclimate those people. If they're going to put Kingdom Hearts on the freaking mobile phone, they're going to have to acclimate those people, right? Same thing with Switch. If they're going to do that anyway, they're probably already thinking about, okay, well, what do we do? What versions do we port? What version do we get running on all these platforms? Acclimate everybody, because clearly this series is way too big to be on one console.
Yeah, and also
it's too expensive.
It could be a pretty big, potentially could be a pretty good cash grab.
Oh heck yeah!
If Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5, or whatever that game is called, that came out on PS4 earlier this year or late last year, whatever it was, came out on Switch, I'd probably pick it up.
Oh, I would immediately. I would right now.
Like, it's been such a long time since I've played any portion of any Kingdom Hearts game, and it's another one of those franchises that I just did not stick with. I played halfway through the game or like a few hours into the game, and then I fell off. The fact that the Switch is portable, you guys know this, my power went out a couple weeks ago. And I was forced, if I wanted to play any video games at all or do anything that would remotely keep me sane, I had to play my Switch.
Yeah.
If I had a game like Kingdom Hearts or whatever else to play, then I would have had something to do.
Yeah.
That's not always going to be the case. My power's not always going to be out. I'm not always going to have a thunderstorm rip through here. And by the way, it was November, so a snowstorm would have been feasible, Charlie.
Oh,
Mr. Snowstorm in July in Atlanta.
All right, yeah.
But that being said, portable opens up the door. The fact that you could dock it opens up another door. Gives me more reasons, more ways, more whatever. It's the Switch. We know what it does.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me play the game on the Switch.
Yeah, and to talk about something that Parallel Shadow in chat said, he said, right, I think it's a great idea to bring the remakes over to the Switch. I just don't see a Kingdom Hearts 3 release for a while. I don't see a Kingdom Hearts 3 release on any console for a while.
I think we're going to see Kingdom Hearts in 2019.
Oh so. Yeah, and I mean, and that's one of those things that they've again, the creator of Kingdom Hearts, specifically said that we want to get the game out on PS4 first, and then we're going to look at putting it on other platforms, right? I'm definitely not saying Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out on Switch day one or day and date with PS4. Not saying that at all. I'm saying that is a game that, in order to make their money back, they are eventually going to be putting on every platform, and there's a lot of things out there that would make it pretty silly for them not to eventually put it on the Switch. Right?
It would be kind of hilarious.
What's up?
If I don't know if it's a matter of if, it might be when Switch becomes lead platform and they've got this PS4 Pro out, this Xbox One X out, and it won't even matter because Switch will be lead platform because everybody's buying games on the Switch and it's going to have the install base at some point.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of questions with that because you mentioned earlier how people on Switch have been starved for games for a long time because Nintendo platforms and indie games are talking about insane record sales, and the Switch is getting close to having record sales. If they meet the 30 million units we're talking about next year, then it's going to actually have record unit sales for any console in history. So it's if this is a thing that happens, it kind of brings to the question of, are we seeing these crazy sales of video games on the Switch because we've been starved, right? Or are we seeing these crazy sales on Switch because the types of people that prefer Nintendo's platform are people that just want to play a larger variety of video games? Which I think that's the answer, personally.
Yeah.
Because, I look at sales numbers for PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U side by side. And Wii U obviously has way less sales of everything, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But what I find interesting is you look at the Wii U and you look at the number of games on that console and the types of games that they are, and this is pretty much true for every Nintendo console. The variety of games is huge. You have puzzle games, 3D platformers, 2D platformers, action adventure games. There's every once in a while there's a first person shooter in there somewhere with Metroid. There's just a little bit, dancing games. There's a little bit of everything, and they all sell very, very well on Nintendo's platform. But then you look at the PS4, and it's the top 12 or 13 installations, or the top wow, why did I say that? The top like 12 or 13 things on that list are their sports games or first-person shooters, right? On the PS4's list, the only thing that's not a first-person shooter or a sports game is Uncharted, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, it's all stuff that's completely third-party, and it's just this like very narrow perspective of video games, right? There's a huge world of video games outside of that don't do super well on the PS4.
And it's funny
well,
because
it's not as well as they should.
That's the exact opposite of Nintendo.
That's what I'm saying. Nintendo has everything.
Yeah, I mean, and their first party games are always their best selling games. Man.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is Nintendo's first parties are really good, but Nintendo's first parties are they specifically try and always hit every single genre. They're like, we got to have a first person shooter, we got to have a third person shooter that's competitive, we got to do all this, and that brings me to like Splatoon, right? On the Wii U, by far one of the worst selling consoles ever to be even remotely known, right? The Wii U did terribly, but its game Splatoon, this little tiny new IP, outsold what one of probably the best rated PS4 game of all, or one of the best, which is Bloodborne. You look at like Bloodborne, you look at like Last of Us. Splatoon outsold those games. These like huge
which literally has an install base 5-fold.
Yeah, it's like
of the PS4. Or
it's
PS4,
just the type of audience you're hitting. Nintendo has everything except a damn F-Zero game on the Switch. Hey man, that's 27 or 2018 right there. It's happening. I'm with you.
F-Zero Adventures.
Yeah, dude. Open world Breath of the Wild F-Zero game.
Add adventures to the end of any dead Nintendo IP, and you've got yourself a winner.
Yeah, it'll sell. No, see, somebody actually brought this up. I forget where I saw it, but they were like, "What if it's like F-Zero Grand Theft Auto? Like you're running around because it wasn't the whole thing with Captain Falcon. He was like a bounty hunter of some kind. I'm pretty sure, right? I'm not wrong about that. I think I'm right about that. I'm sure Scott will tell me I'm wrong in like 30 minutes. But it was like, what if you could run around on the streets, be a bounty hunter, and then get in and race people, like steal cars and race them? That'd be awesome. I'd play that. Like an F-Zero open world game, that'd be cool. Of course, everything has to be open world now. I don't know why we keep going back to that, but it would be cool.
I'd play it.
Like,
I'd play it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, heck. Speaking of that, another game that'd be cool. I'd like to play. What do you call it? Open world city trials from Kirby Air Ride. Let's do it. Run around, suck up dudes, get on a star and race people. I'm in.
Oh man, Drew, is there any like last minute things that you'd like to add to this this Square Enix Kingdom Hearts thread that we've been carrying here?
No, I'm just glad that Square's on board and doing stuff, unlike Capcom.
Hey, Capcom said they're trying. Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Square, man. Like, if we get a Kingdom Hearts game, Final Fantasy game of any kind, we've already got Lost Sphere coming. We've already got what was the demo that just came out a little while ago?
Are you talking about Project Octopath Traveler, which will be like freaking game of the year next year? Game is awesome.
Square is supporting the shit out of the Switch, and it's awesome. I like EA, Capcom, Konami. They could all, all these third parties, whatever. Konami doesn't make games for anybody anymore. Yeah. Could all learn a lesson from what Square is doing, and I think that's awesome. Keep it up. We definitely appreciate it as fans of video games, right?
Yeah,
one company we are not fans of with their video games is EA for our EA minute. Let's have an EA minute, guys.
EA minute? Oh, I don't know if we're gonna have enough.
Let's have
Is this like a Nintendo minute? Like never a minute?
Nintendo minute is never. Can somebody explain that to me? That doesn't make any sense. Because they always say, and remember, Nintendo Minute is never a minute. It's like, then why did you call it that?
What would you call it? Let's sidetrack for a second. What would you call it?
I don't know. Hanging out with two obnoxious Nintendo people?
Hey, man.
I don't like Kid and Chris. I'm sorry.
Hey, I do. But I don't know, like you heard the saying "hot minute." I haven't seen you in a hot minute.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know.
That could mean
but
any amount of time.
I
hate
feel
it.
like I don't think that's what happened. I think honestly they were like, hey, how about we have a little update thing on Nintendo Minute, and then they just started making 30-minute long videos, and they're like, oh crap. And remember, we're never a minute. It's like, what about the 3 videos you made that were a minute?
They have gotten progressively longer, and I think they're just like, what do we say to make sure that like they know it's not a minute, and then bam.
Yeah, but no, man, EA, dude. EA might not be around for another minute.
I
EA
hope
will
not.
be around.
Well,
EA
will be around, but blue boxes probably won't be if Belgium has their way.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah,
like what's going on?
I mean, I'll go through the basics stuff really quick. Yeah, so I guess the lowest it dropped, EA stock went down 7 points after everything, which is really nothing, considering their stock's up like 24 points or something like that over this whole year. So it's like whatever. Apparently, and there's a rumor, Disney did like there's rumors of the guy's name. I'm not going to say it because we don't have any proof of it. But apparently, a guy at Disney that his whole job is to like deal with relations called them and basically threatened them.
Yeah.
Probably happened. I mean, I don't know. We don't know. I mean, we theorized it last episode. Microtransactions are obviously gone temporarily. They're saying like, oh, you know, you're getting, and people are also saying that they're getting stuff like much faster right now. I'm not really sure on the numbers there.
I don't know. I just think it's dumb that EA was like, yeah, we're getting rid of microtransactions, but they'll return. And then later on in a statement, I believe they called it the accelerated experience if you're buying microtransactions. So I want to know what their thought is. Like, if you were to go to an EA representative and say, can you please define what an accelerated experience means? What kind of answer do you think you'd get from them?
An experience that, or an accelerated experience is the preferred gameplay experience of someone who is willing, or of a customer who is willing to pay for enhanced fun. I don't know.
You can't even come up with something because it doesn't make any sense. Because here's the thing: EA came out in a statement that Reddit post that was downvoted to hell and back.
Over 1 million times last time I checked.
Over 1 million times said we want our customers to have pride that they were able to accomplish something. But you're also giving them an out. You're giving them an out and allowing them to pay for whatever. Like I said, we've talked about this to death already.
Yep.
But your argument between that Reddit post and between this quote of accelerated experience, those are like conflicting things that you're saying. So either your PR is bad, you've got two people that aren't whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's silly.
It's dumb. It's really dumb.
After all this, one of these like industry analysts came out and was like, yeah, well, really, if you look at the numbers, if you pay $20 a month in microtransactions and you play 2 hours a day, then after a month of gameplay, video games are still that video game would still be the cheapest form of entertainment on the market. So video games are being undercharged, and we should actually be charging them $80 for the games or more, and microtransactions should be more expensive because that would make it fair. And the reaction to EA's choices was overblown, and gamers are at fault.
This is something somebody said.
Yeah, an industry analyst told EA they should be charging.
Is this Michael Pachter?
No, it's not Michael Pachter. If it was Michael Pachter, I would have been like, the Pachter factor. I would have totally made fun of it. Yeah. No, it's just some random guy that's like, listen, well, in my opinion, we should be charging them $1 billion because...
I want you to have that voice forever.
Which one?
This one right here that you were just talking like.
I like to call that my Ryan voice. I'm just kidding. That's not at all what it sounds like.
but like seriously, I don't even know what I was gonna say. I've completely lost my train of thought. So Scott brings up a good point in chat. Thank you again for contributing, Scott, in this form. Bethesda started this all off with horse armor back in 2008 or some stuff, right? Horse armor, golden horse armor is like $20. When was the last time that you've seen Bethesda make any sort of, in recent memory, like microtransaction? Because it kind of seems like they might have DLC. They definitely have DLC.
So no, I think what Bethesda's doing is kind of a different alternative, right? They were trying to go down the Valve route of allowing people to sell mods in their games, right? So it'd be the same thing. Somebody could make a mod of horse armor for 99 cents, right? And you could optionally buy it. I don't have a problem with that personally.
I don't either.
I have no problem with paid mods.
Upset about it.
I'm not going to get into this whole argument, but just the reason people are mad about paid mods, and the reason it's because it was a game that already had an established modding community, right? People already had mods that they were being told that now they're going to have to pay for, and there was all the mods that intertwine. There's a whole confusing system. If they had said when Fallout 4 came out, hey, Fallout 4 day one paid mods, we've already talked to the modding community, we have a system set up, this is how this is going to work, people would have been like, oh, I'm angry at first, but they would have gotten used to it, right? The problem is it makes sense to pay people for their work, especially if they're making really crazy mods, and they're like, you're making these like 20-hour long huge mods, or even if they just make a cool sword. If you want that really cool, like, oh, I want my character to look like Goku for $1. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Like, allow me to pay that, right? I'm fine with that. And if somebody makes a better version that's free and he decides to make it free, then fine. He got undercut. I don't know. That's a weird argument. We could have 30 podcasts on that topic alone. But it doesn't really matter because, well, microtransactions are fine, but loot boxes might be getting totally screwed over because, as this article I have up right now, Belgium is going to try and declare, or they've declared that loot boxes are indeed gambling, and they're trying to get them banned from all of Europe. And I had this explained to me by Ryan how that would work, because this is just Belgium. How are they going to affect all of Europe, right? Well, Europe has there's basically like a board. I forget what he called it. It's like a board of justice, where basically there's just certain things that basically get outlawed in like all of EU. Mm-hmm. And this guy, he's one of those people. I guess he's on the justice board or whatever. I probably sound insane because he's probably like the justice board. I don't remember what it's called. But basically, there's a group of people that make that make these decisions, and he's going and he's like, I'm going to try and get this thing outlawed. That would be crazy. Because what you have to think of is like what would that mean, right? The court of justice. There you go. Thank you. So the way. Like, think about the games that would be affected with it, because that's not just saying like EA is too bad, right? That is all microtransactions, or sorry, all loot boxes. So that would mean, and the way he clarified it was, if you can buy something where you do not know what you get, that is gambling, and we're not okay with that, right? So for example, and people brought up like, well, there's sort of a law like that in China already, and the way Blizzard got around it was they added the currency. So you buy the currency to buy the box, right?
Right.
But he's speaking specifically in relation to Battlefront, which Battlefront already does that. You don't buy the box, you buy a currency with which you use to buy boxes, right? So based on that, the whole currency thing that Blizzard has wouldn't work. Not gonna fly. So basically that means Blizzard is screwed. Mobile games with loot boxes are screwed. Rocket League is screwed. EA is screwed with all the stuff they're doing. Anything that has loot boxes. Because if I remember correctly, can't you buy loot boxes in Destiny? Or
they're
buy a box.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not called loot boxes. They're
but it's
called
the same, yeah.
Bright
same
engrams,
deal.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
So,
but yeah, like what if they just change the name? What if they don't call them loot boxes? What if they call them booty crates?
No. So he, in his definition, he does not use the word loot box at all. He says in any point in which you can purchase something in a video game where you do not know the thing you're purchasing until you buy it, that is gambling, and we're against it.
Now
he didn't specify a name. Very smart man.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting.
I mean, he's
he's the head of the court of justice.
He's not. I don't think he's the head. Is he the head of it?
I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about.
So, let's say you're not given the ability to purchase loot boxes with real money anymore. And I was thinking about this earlier today. What if they have, an online store, microtransactions, where you know exactly what you're buying, but in-game they still have a loot box like system, like say Overwatch keeps loot boxes, but you only earn them through gameplay, whereas like that could still profit them, like
How?
in almost the same way.
It'll still
Explain,
profit them
no,
if they're.
how?
He's saying like purchasing individual items, the way that you've always said you've just, hey, I see this skin I want, charge me $10 for it, I'll buy that skin. I don't want to earn it randomly.
Or I have, I can play the game normally and earn it through a random drop.
Like,
and you're right. Fine. It's still profitable. It's not going to make them as much money. I guarantee it.
Oh hell, it wouldn't make them as much money, but it will still make them more money, right? And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with microtransactions. I'm not a fan of microtransactions in a full-fledged video game, but if I had to choose between microtransactions and loot boxes, I would still go with microtransactions, right? Like,
because at least you know what you're getting.
Yeah, at least I know the price tag, and that's why like you look at League of Legends, right? This is what blows my mind. League of Legends, in order to unlock everything in League of Legends, it's like $700 to get all the heroes in League of Legends, and like 2,500 hours of play, right? I mean, that's a lot of play, right? But it's a free to play game, and in that game, you don't need to have every character. You're probably not going to want every character, right? You're going to want a couple of characters, and you also have the ability to try every single character on a weekly basis. You have different characters you can play every week to really see if you like them before you buy them. It's a completely fair system. But in Battlefront 2, they're talking about 6,000 hours, 3 times the gameplay of a free-to-play video game, or $2,500 to unlock everything. About 3-ish times the amount of money that it would cost to unlock everything in a free-to-play video game.
Yeah.
Like, Battlefront is basically saying we want 3 times as much more time or money than League of Legends. And that is insane. That's the problem.
It is. Man, this is going to be like a super gray area. I think these companies, let's say this thing passes through the EU, where they ban this sort of loot box transaction. What's going to start happening is they're going to start charging $10 for 4 hours worth of double experience. With a double experience, you earn loot boxes twice as fast.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still going to get the people they want, because it's not currency that's being like transacted for this thing that you don't know what's going to come out of this box. It's going to be, no, you're just paying for double experience. You just want to level up faster. You just want to get to level 100 faster. That's what you're paying for. And that's where I may have just given them an idea. Please don't watch this.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, shut up,
Ryan. Edit it out.
So I don't know, man. It's just they're gonna, no matter what, they're always gonna come up with a way to try to make their money. And I don't disagree with you, Charlie, that it might be a better system from the consumer standpoint. You too, Drew, since you're the one talking about it, to allow me to look at a skin, see what that skin is, and just fork you over money for it. That's the one skin that I want. I want this golden hammer, or I want that devil skin for Mercy, or whatever it is. Here's $10 for it. But I mean, we know the way business works, and it's all about what's the easiest way to make money with the least amount of resources.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at this is a bad analogy, but if you look at Walmart and the way that they conduct their business, they sign on these like Chinese companies that manufacture goods for a super low cost. They buy all that stuff, and then Walmart sells it at a pretty low cost, because they know that their consumer base they want low cost clothing items or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
For gamers, a lot of gamers might have a gambling addiction or whatever it might be, or maybe they just want to put the least amount of work into a game but still feel accomplished, and that's what loot boxes does.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, he specifically said that too. He said the marriage of gambling and video games is incredibly dangerous. and that is something that he's against, right? Like I am not personally okay with outlawing gambling in video games, right? I don't think you can ever say that gambling in itself can't be in video games. I don't think it's going to work. Because they're going to find a way around it, etc., right? However, I think it should certainly be classified as adult only, at least in terms of the ESRB.
Yeah, like get ESRB, get Peggy involved in rating
sure.
games properly.
I don't know if that's going to work because the ESRB is its own entity, but it's one of those like, look, if you're going to have it in your game, it has to have a clear warning label, right? Similar to like a Surgeon General warning for cigarettes. Like, look, if you want to buy it, fine. Buy the damn cigarettes, smoke yourself to death, die when you're 30, have a good time, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to have a damn label on the thing saying you're making a decision, you consciously know that you're killing yourself, right?
Right.
I think it's the same thing. It's like, hey, look, this thing has gambling in it. Your child, you are buying a thing for your kid that has gambling. It's just like saying, hey, my kid's 14, but I'm going to buy a pack of cigarettes anyway. You're killing your child. Congratulations. Yeah. Right? You need to have that limitation there. And with video games, that would have a massive impact because GameStop, Steam, Walmart, PlayStation Store, if it is adult rated, not getting sold. Not interested. They don't do it. It's different with online services because they don't have to be rated. You know, Steam doesn't force you to be rated to get sold in their store. If I remember correctly, PSN does because they also, all their games are pretty much also on store shelves as well. So it's, and in order to sell in a store, you have to get rated. So if you want to be sold in GameStop, guess what? Better not have gambling in it. So that would definitely force people's hand. And I guarantee you that if you tell Disney, hey, the game we're selling with Star Wars happens to have an adult-only rating on it, like, yeah, no, we don't want to be in the same level as pornography, thanks. Like, Disney's not going to have it.
Oh, this gambling and loot box talk again. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. By the way, guys, EA kind of nixed some of the microtransaction stuff from Need for Speed Payback as well, or at least changed some of the items.
Yeah, they did. They apparently rolled it back a lot. I think they're probably stumbling a lot right now because I know there was also been talk about their shareholders being like, no, Disney's getting mad at us, the internet's hating us. You know, I've heard some people saying I haven't seen any numbers of this, but I've heard people saying that they're having issues with sales this last weekend. I don't know where they heard that from. I don't know if anyone has numbers on that, but
I really want to see their numbers for.
I don't think they're going to let us know.
I mean, who knows? Who knows how NPD gets their information? So
yeah, that was another thing. Is EA literally said, "Yeah, well, just letting you guys know, people on the board, removing microtransactions will not affect our projected earnings for this year."
Well, bullshit. It's not going to affect them because they've done well in other areas that they weren't expecting to. That they weren't projecting to do as well. That's all that means. So their return on Battlefront 2 is not going to be where they expected it to be.
Yeah,
that we can all agree on.
Yeah, and Parallel Shadow is right too. On the bright side, the gambling disaster is definitely giving Nintendo good publicity. It's like, oh yeah, well we don't have any of this garbage.
Yeah. Mario Odyssey doesn't even have a season pass.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know what? I was thinking about this the other day. I think if Mario Odyssey is going to get DLC at all, whether free or paid, it'll probably be Luigi stuff. Like
because I mean,
Super
even that
Luigi Odyssey or whatever.
Yeah, like that Luigi stuff wasn't announced for Super Mario Brothers U.
Bullcrap! I want to play as Girl Mario.
Girl
I'm
Mario.
Sarcastic. I don't want to play as Girl Mario.
Miriam.
Miriam?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, actually, there's already Mary O, the girl from...
Super Mario Maker?
Yeah.
But speaking of games that don't have microtransactions, Splatoon 2 is getting a huge update for the holiday.
It sure is.
Let's see. There was like 140 or so new cosmetic items, like a new stage.
Yeah. They
upped the max level. Yeesh. New hairstyles, new amiibo stuff, gear swapping, music, new Salmon Run stage. I'm excited for that. I do like Salmon Run. Yeah, just tons and tons of stuff.
Yeah,
and
the
it's all
thing
free.
they drastically increase the level cap, which is interesting. Because they increase the level cap to 99, but when you hit 99, you prestige back to 1, and your level is now 1 with a star next to it. And you continue to
it's
level again.
Overwatch all over again.
Yeah, because a lot of people were capped at 50. Like, I know Pumpkin or Susan just hit 50 yesterday. And she was like, son of a bitch, now I have to start all over and keep going. But she's super good at the game, so it won't take long for her to get back up. But actually, just a weird aside, because I'm talking about Splatoon. Another thing is they added a Splatfest type mode to ARMS, which is pretty interesting. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but they added a thing. There's one at the end of the month. I think it's either this weekend or I think it's next weekend maybe. But yeah, they added that, which is super cool. I think that'll give legs to ARMS. You know, get people playing again.
Oh my gosh.
I want to see how well that game sells through the holidays. You know, if people are buying Switches for their kids or whatever, how many like Christmas lists or Hanukkah lists that was on for
and this brings up a strange rumor that I don't think has a whole lot of weight, but I'm curious about what could potentially happen. Somebody claims that they contacted Nintendo support and asked them if they were going to be having Black Friday deals on the eShop, and the woman said yes, definitely. Ooh. Now, that could be complete bullcrap. We have the support lady who knows what she actually knows. If she knows anything,
but there's a difference between eShop and Nintendo Switch eShop.
Well, I think he actually did specify Switch eShop.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I don't know. Regardless, I'm interested to see if they do anything, right? And the reason I bring it up is I could see them maybe putting ARMS on sale, maybe putting 1-2 Switch on sale in the eShop, stuff like that. They're not gonna put Mario Odyssey on sale or anything like that.
No, they probably wouldn't even put Breath of the Wild on sale.
No, God, why would they do that? They just released the Explorer version.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, ARMS, 1-2 Switch, probably not Splatoon, but like maybe they're like less selling games.
I'll tell you right now, if ARMS comes out for $40, I'll buy it for my nieces.
Yeah.
I think they'd like. One of my nieces was weird when they first saw my Switch. The first thing she said was, "Do you have ARMS?" I was like, "The hell?"
Listen, you know the best way to kind of, you don't have to have Black Friday sales if you have your Nintendo Switch rewards available for My Nintendo.
Yeah, yeah, I know, right?
Just release Virtual Console, and I'll buy more stuff without getting any sort of discount.
Yeah,
just by you making that stuff available.
That'll be January.
You know what rumor I really want to be true?
What's that?
The rumor that there's going to be a Christmas update for the Switch with themes. Like,
yep.
I will go all out. Like, I will buy so many themes Nintendo doesn't even want to know.
Yeah, I know, dude. Oh my God, I can just imagine like, the next thing that I'll have is Nintendo, please implement a feature where you can randomly change my theme every day because I'll have so many themes.
Oh yeah.
Just give me a theme for every day of the week and just randomly change it every day.
You know what there is a theme of this year is Breath of the Wild winning a whole bunch of Editor's Choice and Critics' Choice awards.
Yeah, man.
Well, Breath of the Wild just won another award.
It did indeed.
What was that?
It won It won Game of the Year in the Golden Joystick Awards, which I guess is
I think it's Ultimate Game of the Year.
Yeah, that's right. Ultimate Game of the Year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's pretty good. Like, I know one thing that's pretty funny about it. I'm not gonna go through the whole list. The thing that's really funny is apparently in an interview, Al Numa specifically said, he's like, "Wow, I'm really glad that for the Joystick Awards, Mario Odyssey wasn't eligible because I don't think we would have won." So that supports my theory right there. That
Yep.
Which, by the way, I think we talked about something. We were talking about this last week. I think we had an incorrect assumption. We were assuming that the votes that we were all putting in were the votes for the award. No.
Probably just like Gamer's Choice Award or some
10%,
right?
10%.
Oh,
yeah,
10%.
Yeah, 10%. So all of our votes combined every day together combined to make up 10% of the points for voting.
I wasn't under the assumption that our vote was gonna make something win or lose. I was under the assumption that maybe they would just give out like a Gamer's Choice Award,
Yeah,
but
I'm sure
maybe
gonna
we,
do that too.
but we probably could have done a better job of explaining that last
like
week.
It's funny because now I think back to it, it doesn't make any sense they would have done it that way, but that's kind of how I was approaching it because they were allowing me to vote. So like, what am I voting on? Oh, okay, I vote. But yeah, I mean,
We
it's a judges
collectively, us 200 million gamers, or probably much less than that, people that are actually voting,
panel. Probably like 50 people.
make up a 10% of a games journalist.
Yep.
So congratulations, guys. We're almost
Dude,
there.
That guy who played Cuphead was really good and knows a lot about games. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Right, exactly.
For sure.
Oh man.
Oh, he voted for it for Game of the Year. It's not even on the list, bro.
Sort of related to Game of the Year stuff is that the Nintendo Switch is the #1 top gadget in the top 10 list of gadgets for 2017.
Yep.
You know what's funny is like, so I totally expected it to be on that list. For whatever reason, I expected the iPhone 10 to win that competition.
Gross.
Is it even on there?
It's like team number 2.
Garbage.
So, and the only reason I say that is, I mean, you guys know this. Like Apple refines ideas that have been in the marketplace for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But then everybody is like, "Oh my god, this is the newest, greatest thing." And normally it tends to win awards.
I'm sorry, but they actually did innovate this year. As far as I know, it's the only phone that has talking poop emojis. Okay. That's top tier innovation.
That's a very good point.
Top tier innovation.
Very good point. So yeah, I mean that's cool. So people who read Time magazine who don't play video games are now aware of the Nintendo Switch. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure most people that read Time magazine don't play video games.
That's true. That's
I'm sure my grandma reads Time magazine.
Does she play video games?
No. She
But you want to strap a VR Oculus.
Oh, I definitely do. Oh my god, you have no idea. She'd be like, "What in the hell?" Oh man, it'd be the greatest thing ever.
Oh man,
Be so good.
But Pocket Camp came out today, guys, officially.
You know what's funny? It came out today, but actually the release date is tomorrow.
Yeah.
They did that with Mario Run on Android
Yeah, it's like
as well.
what?
Yeah,
I don't know. Whatever. I'm fine with it. Whatever. Yeah, since I already had a bunch of stuff, I turned it because I hadn't played it for a couple of weeks. Turned it back on, and I was finally able to link my Nintendo account, which means I got 100 Leaf tickets, which means now KK Sliders in my town, and I'm done with the game. I've reached the pinnacle, so.
Hey, well, at least they'll have like Christmas events or something. I think they made a point in saying that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just joking. I'll continue to play. I still gonna unlock Tom Nook.
I made a character. That's as far as I've gotten.
I bought
same.
I bought a ton of Animal Crossing Amiibo over the weekend because Toys R Us had a buy one get 3 free sale.
What?
And they were down to $7 already.
What?
And then they took the 3-pack of, I can't remember their names, the two alpaca characters, the wife and husband that like make stuff. It's a 3-pack of them and KK Slider, and that was down to like $12. So I bought the 3-pack. Yeah, I bought the 3-pack, and then I got let's see, who did I get? I got Tom Nook, Mr. Rossetti, Cap'n, and Blathers, plus those 3 for like $22.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah, I was like, that's like 2 Amiibo.
That means Scott probably spent like $200 on Amiibo at Toys R Us.
Yeah, they were all on sale. I was like, heck yeah, because like I love those are pretty much all my favorite characters. I don't really care about Isabelle or whatever, but I really like all those characters, and I was like, for $22, I can't beat that.
Yeah, you got like 700 Amiibo for like 12 cents. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it was great. It was great. Totally excited.
What else? What else happened?
Valkyria Chronicles 4 got announced it's coming to Switch. That's pretty cool.
That
is cool.
Yeah, I've never played the games, but I know have a lot of friends that absolutely love them.
Mm-hmm.
And the night before, it was funny. I was telling a friend like, "Oh, I heard like there's like some rumors about that game, and it'd be cool if it came to Switch." And we were kind of talking about it. He was explaining to me how it all works. The game just sounds. The more I hear about it, the more I'm like, "Wow, this game actually sounds really, really cool." And then, of course, 24 hours later, probably more like 12 hours later, that trailer drops, and it like starts up with like this 5 or 6 minute sort of heartfelt explanation from the devs.
Yeah,
So
like,
they're like
a dev video, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, we really want this to be the greatest thing we've ever made, and we really want to please the fans. We want this to be the next big thing, and we poured so much love into this, and it's just it feels so sincere. These guys,
these guys seem super passionate.
Yeah, it seems like they really are pouring their heart and soul into the game. Which anytime I see a video like that about a game, and you see the devs just truly exude love for that project, I'm just like, man, I don't know what it is. It could be Bubsy. I want to try it now because you apparently love it that much, right? And like, because it's just that kind of passion generally breeds quality. Not always,
right,
but generally it does, right? You could be Peter Molyneux and you're just a passionate liar, but that's a whole different thing.
Listen, man, the Fable card game.
Oh yeah,
was gonna be great.
It was gonna be amazing. The Spore loot box game. Anyway, but no, I mean, and the gameplay looks good. The art is absolutely stunning. It looks really cool. So I hope. I know they said it's coming out, and I think it's like beginning of next year, and then like it had a blank date for Switch, so I'm sure it's take a little bit longer. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. I think it looks cool. Hopefully it's a good game and people like it, so when it comes to Switch I can hop all over it.
Yeah. Strategy RPG game, right?
Yeah. It's so cool. I mean, if you don't know anything about it, there's like really like here's the art for the game. It looks really neat. There's like these really cool mechanics where different characters have different likes and dislikes, so when you put them near those likes or dislikes, it'll affect them. Like, you know, there are characters that might happen to be homosexual, so if you put that guy near another guy, he's trying to show off, and so when he's showing off, all of his stats go up, and it's like he's got like better attack and like better defense and stuff. It's like, that's super interesting. Or like there's some characters that have allergies. It's like, oh well, you use them on a field that has pollen and he's allergic to pollen, so his speed's gonna go down because he's like sick or something. It sounds silly, but you have all that plus like it actually builds their character, and like the more you use them, you sort of get these different bonuses and stats, like stat increases with them because you use these certain characters together in certain ways. So like you can build up their relationships. I think that's really cool. So I'm hyped for that.
Yeah, nobody's gonna complain about more games for the Switch.
Nope.
I was looking at their website the other day, like I went to the game store from the browser. I searched Nintendo Switch games, and available now, 264 games.
Yeah, that's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games in a short amount of time.
That's a lot of games. Sorry, just remind me of something.
Yeah, pretty sure that's no games.
Zero games.
Zero games. Guys, did you hear? Switch has no games.
Yeah, doesn't have Final Fantasy 15, doesn't have Battlefront 2, zero games.
Zero games. Oh man.
Oh, games.
You know what game it was supposed to have but isn't going to have for probably a while?
What's that?
Tiny Metal. It's bullcrap.
Oh yeah.
What's going on?
It got delayed like extremely last minute. Like I think it was supposed to come out today, and then yesterday they said, "Oh, wait, it's going to be another month or something."
Why did it get delayed? Did they say why?
Embezzlement.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a Kickstarter game. And what happened was, I don't think this is a Kickstarter game. The guy making it had a game that was quote in development from another Kickstarter called Project Phoenix. They got like a ton of big RPG people together and like, we have this super team, we're gonna make this crazy cool classic JRPG, it's gonna be great. And they got like $1 million. And he's been making all these fake updates like, oh, we're totally working on this. And this has been happening since 2013. The game still has not come out, right? And he's making, to this day, he's been making fake updates like, oh yeah, we're still working real hard, it's coming great, yeah, you guys are gonna love it. No one's done any work on the game. Basically $1 million from that Kickstarter, which made like $1 million, he took that money and made a new company and is making Tiny Metal. And that's coming out, and when they accused him of it, the girl that accused him, he turned around and said, oh yeah, well, if I stole money, then you're a sex offender and you tried to sexually harass me. And it's like, oh god, no. Now it's in the gaming industry. Fun.
Yeah.
And Jason Schreier is busting the whole thing open. He's been like doing, or Schreier, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I feel kind of bad because we talk about him a good amount, but
I believe it's Schreier.
Yeah, it might be Schreier, but he's kind of doing a bunch of research on the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. and sad that this is happening. They're saying it's going to be only delayed a month. I don't know if I believe that, but it kind of sucks because if you guys remember, we had talked about Sony had started up a gaming studio, or Sony Music for some reason wanted to start releasing video games. Well, the first game to come out of Sony Music is this one. So the first game they go to make, and it's got embezzlement written all over it.
Way to pick your battles there. Sony
Yeah,
Music.
and the game looks cool because it's like, there's a ton of people that really, really want an Advance Wars game. And this game is supposed to be like that, but with a bunch of cool other features, and it's like 3D, and it looks awesome, and people are really excited for it. But now it's like, do you really want to support a game that was funded on the embezzlement of another project? Do you want to support the game that guy made?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting moral question, right? I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or what not to do, but it's just one of those. A lot of people are kind of torn. They're like, well, I mean, this is a game that I want to support because it's the kind of game that I want to get made, but not through embezzlement, right? And I mean, at least you have that other game that's coming out. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it. The other one that's a similar style of game. Oh gosh, now I feel bad.
Man, this is a really interesting article. Like, I'm kind of like reading through it here.
It's
if
super
you guys,
interesting. You should read the article.
You definitely should. Man, like they straight up say, like, 2 months after I was hired at Area 35, I had learned that the company funded the project by running a scam through Kickstarter. It says it right there. Like, this is all reporting by Jason Schreier. Yeah, definitely check this out over at Kotaku. It's an interesting read.
Yeah, by the way, the name of the game I'm thinking of was Wargroove. That's another game. If you're interested in this game, but you're not okay with purchasing this, wait for Wargroove that's coming out. It's a really cool game. It's like Advance Wars plus Fire Emblem fused together.
I really liked in the Nindies that they showed, I was a lot more interested in Wargroove than I was Tiny Metal anyways.
Me too.
It looked, I don't know, the art style I find more charming. It looked more polished. It looked like there was a lot more love. And I've watched a few streams of the developers just like showing off the game or developing, and they were like interacting with me and the rest of the people watching, and it just really felt like a project of love rather than, we're going to push out this game because we can.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's, again, what would you rather support, the one that's like an indie project that comes from love, or the one that's funded via embezzlement, right? So it's like, I don't know. It's, that's a dangerous one. That one just popped up today, so I don't know. It's crazy.
All right, what else do we have? Last item on the list. What's going on with Cyberpunk 2077?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can go over it super quickly. So there was a whole thing that happened where, I guess there was a poorly translated interview, and one of the guys from CD Projekt Red said that in order for your game to be, like, I guess, a long-term success, that there needs to be some sort of interaction online, and that they were kind of interested in sort of games they could support over time. And so people just sort of ran with that and thought, they're adding microtransactions. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to have microtransactions. The game's ruined. It's going to be terrible, right? Which is sort of crazy to think, because CD Projekt Red is like known for being very customer centric. Like everything they do, if you buy a copy of their game, you can literally just go to oh my gosh, I can never think of the name of this. GOG, goodoldgames.com. You can go there. You can download the executable of the game, like DRM free, whatever. If you buy the game, you get the DRM free copy. Give it to whoever you want. They come at it from the perspective of, trust our customers and not lock them down and ruin the product that they paid for, right? With the hopes that the customers will pay them back in kind, and pay for the product and do whatever they can to help support that product, right? They've had DLC, but the DLC was like 20-hour huge expansive things that could have been that literally could have been their own game. I mean, the expansion from Witcher 3 called Blood and Wine won a game award, I think, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like, those guys are probably the last people that would do something like EA, but I think people are just scared because of EA, so they sort of just got terrified and ran with it. But they came out and they kind of clarified, like, no, this is a, quote, no bullshit, story-driven RPG, none of the microtransaction crap. We're not doing any of that.
Hey, maybe they'll add in Mario Odyssey style, like, rank minigame, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fine, too. I mean, or maybe they just want an online multiplayer type thing where you can run around and screw around with people. I mean, who knows what that actually means when he said that they were looking into online interactions, right? But it certainly doesn't mean microtransactions in this case. They clarified, we're not doing that. And one of the things they said was, we'll leave the greed to other companies. It's just like...
Shots fired.
Socked it right to him. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what it boils down to. I mean, again, they have a pretty good article over Kotaku if you want to read the whole thing. There's a bunch of ongoing stuff with it. But yeah, CD Projekt Red's a great company. Probably like one of the most open, transparent companies you're going to find in most cases.
Yep.
I think they've had some weird issues happen recently, but nothing big. So I think it's pretty safe to trust them for now.
Anything else we want to hit before we get out of here, guys?
No. I mean, I'm excited for...
Hit that like button on YouTube.
Hit that like button, favorite, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch, or follow me on Twitter at RealSuperCrete. In reality, I think I'm just super excited for Game Awards.
Yeah.
And for PSX to be terrible. We can all make fun of it live. It'd be great.
So yeah, the Game Awards, we're gonna stream live here, guys. That's in just over 2 weeks. Just about 2 weeks from the time that you're hearing this recording, if you're picking this up through audio form.
Yeah.
So make sure you check us out at on December 7th, probably around 8 p.m. We'll go live. But like I said, check the Twitter and the Facebook at switchcore.net for that stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking, when does it start? Does it start at 8 p.m. or does it start at 9 p.m.?
Starts at 8:30.
Starts at 8:30. Okay, yeah. That's what I want to do. I definitely think we should, maybe have a 30-minute pre-show for everybody. We can all hang out.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about serious.
No, we're probably going to talk a little bit about number one, like first and foremost, we're going to have some fun. Maybe some drinking games will be involved for Charlie and I.
No.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, like I said, for Charlie and I. And then we're probably going to make some predictions about what we think will win what categories. And I'll probably be wrong about everything because I've been wrong about everything all year. All year.
Except for the Xbox One X. Oh, wait, no, that was me. Sorry.
Listen. Wait a second. You're going to keep reminding me of that. I understand. That's fine. There's still hope, and there's still time that Xenoblade gets delayed.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I was waiting.
No, that'd be so good.
It's going to happen.
Although weren't you team detachable controllers?
Man, I'd have to go back through those fake Twitter posts.
I think you were pro detachable controllers. I was anti detachable controllers, but that was last year, so irrelevant.
Yeah, we knew as of like October 21st last year that we were getting detachable controllers. Yep. It's really weird how I remember these dates.
I do too.
Hey, I think it's safe to say we've all been wrong about a lot of things. We've all gotten hyped up or disappointed in some things before we knew the full story. And yeah.
I'm still disappointed that Virtual Console hasn't come, but we'll save that for another day.
Hey, 2018 will be better. We'll all be right.
2018 will be the year of Virtual Console.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me look at the calendar. Hold on. Where's the? How do I change? There it is. No. January. What time is this going to be? What day of the week do we think Nintendo will do a big direct about this?
Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Yeah, let's do it. Come on, Nintendo.
No,
shake things up.
not Sunday night, man.
It'll be a Monday morning for them in Japan.
January 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern.
10th? They're going to do it Wednesday/Thursday?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'll go Monday/Tuesday.
This is all interesting.
January 8th. Let's do January 8th. I'm doing January 8th late night for... Wait, no. No, it'll be late night for us. So yeah.
7th.
So it'll be the 9th for them, 8th for us. Or like maybe like right at midnight, because that's kind of how they did their last thing.
Yeah. There you go, guys. That's your first
That's
Charlie 2018 prediction.
That's it.
For more predictions, make sure you subscribe to us, follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube, which if you're watching this on YouTube, it's right there somewhere. I don't know. We're new at this. Thanks, Ryan, every week for getting this show out and making the audio super amazing every single week. We definitely appreciate it. You've also done a lot of hard work working with Charlie side by side, getting this stream up and running. So we definitely appreciate that as well. Charlie's on Twitch at Super Creed. Drew, yep. I don't know if you've got a Twitch.
I do. Same as my normal handle, Riff Silver.
Riff Silver on Twitch and on Twitter. Charlie is the real Super Creed on Twitch. You guys can find me
on Twitter. Real Super Creed on Twitter. Super Creed on Twitch. Yeah.
I'm really good at this. You guys can find me on Twitch at Field of Friction, Friction321 on Twitch. I'm really good at this. I'll put it in the description of the YouTube video, which I don't even know how you find that because it does not. I'm Bolt. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Have a good one.